Messed up something here. We are running live. Okay, here we go.
Cancer got you down? Pretty grim, huh? How about a show that turns the grim into a grin? Way to go! You made it here to the Cancer and Comedy Podcast, the show to lift you up with hope and humor that heals.
I love that music. It's always so much fun. It really gets us going. Well, Lifter Uppers, I'm Deb Krier. I am the co-host of Cancer and Comedy, where our mission is to heal cancer-impacted people through hope and humor. Something we like to call turning the grim into a grin. Well, today, on this day before Thanksgiving, on Cancer and Comedy, we are going to talk about how to be grateful even as you live with cancer. Now, here is the host of the Cancer and Comedy podcast, Dr. Brad Miller.
Hey, thank you, Deb. What an honor and privilege to be with you. And I'm really thankful to being with you and our lifter uppers here today on this live version of our podcast as we come to people on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And we're glad that people have joined us. This is the podcast where we look to offer a perspective on cancer that brings together a sense of having hope with a element of humor. And so that's why we call it cancer and comedy. Cancer indicates that, bad things have happened to you, and we kind of focus in here on the actual people impacted by cancer, but it can be anything where really people have been devastated by some factor in life, some adversity. Then we'd like to call it to cope with hope. We'd like to have coping strategies and ways that people cope with hope and humor. We like to call it turning the grim of cancer into the grin of a fulfilled, happy life. And we're developing a community here of people who are like-minded, that we just know that no matter what the circumstances are, we're not done yet. We're going to keep going, and we're going to be vibrant, alive people, whatever the circumstances are. And we are making that a part of our community effort. So if you'd like to be a part of our community here at Cancer and Comedy, you just go to our website, cancerandcomedy.com/follow. We like to have some fun here. It's the day before Thanksgiving. So Deb, how about a couple of really bad dad jokes regarding
Oh,
Thanksgiving, huh?
I'm waiting, and I'm assuming they're going to be Thanksgiving related.
Oh, of course. Well, why did the cranberry blush?
I don't know.
Saw the turkey dressing.
Cute.
Oh boy, what's blue and covered with feathers?
I don't know.
A turkey holding its breath.
Cute. I love it.
Yeah, just one more. How do you fix a broken pumpkin?
I don't know.
You
How
gotta
do you
have
fix a broken pumpkin?
You gotta have a pumpkin patch. That's what you gotta have.
Oh, cute. Yep. Gotta have that pumpkin patch. I love it. So much fun. Well, as we mentioned, we would love for you to be part of our Cancer and Comedy community, where together we crush cancer with a message of how to cope with hope and humor. Please follow Cancer and Comedy at cancerandcomedy.com/follow. Well, now on today's live stream, as I mentioned, and as we know, it is the day before Thanksgiving. So Brad and I wanted to each share 5 things that we are thankful for, and even in some cases, things that have come about because we are impacted by cancer. So my number 5 reason is, I feel like we need a drum roll, right?
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I might have something here that we can do here. Let me try something here. How's that?
Ta-da!
You didn't even know I could do that, did you?
I know. I love it. Well, I am so grateful for my community and the support networks that I have built because of this. It's been so interesting to see the people who have gone out of my life, but more importantly, the people who have come into my life. And I never would have gotten to know them if I hadn't been diagnosed with cancer. So it's kind of weird to be thankful for that, but I am thankful for that.
Well, that is awesome, and that'll be a little bit later on in my list there, but I just want to second that the community people, you've developed a kind of a new community, as it were. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
you
Right.
interact with people who
Mhm,
you more than likely would not have interacted with
right.
before,
Mhm,
and that's a good thing.
mhm,
So I just
mhm,
certainly second that. My number five reason for being hopeful and thankful and have an attitude of gratitude here this Thanksgiving season is medicine, is medical advances.
mhm, mhm,
Um, you know, I think if you and I were going to have an honest conversation, and if we were having our conversation about cancer, and if it was, say, 2004 or
mhm,
1994 instead of 2024,
mhm.
both of our prognoses might not have been so good. You know,
Right.
I know you had very serious cancer treatments in stage 3 and 4, and situations that
Mhm,
I won't go into detail. If you choose to, you can, but they were very serious
mhm,
prognosis.
mhm,
Mine was such. I had prostate cancer, and just about 2 years ago, when I got the diagnosis, it was basically, hey, if you don't do anything about this, you're going to be sick, pretty sick within a year or two, and you're not going to be
mhm,
here within 2 or 3
mhm,
years. And here it is 2 years later, and I'm doing pretty good. So I'm thankful for medical advances
mhm,
and those prognosis and kind of the things that go around that. The doctors and nurses and technicians and all the people in that world who are trained up and they're applying their skills
mhm,
to not only my situation
mhm,
and to yours, but to so many people, and giving them an opportunity to
mhm,
have some hope because of the medical advances. And then I kind of put into that some of the things that you and I have learned as well in the course of doing our cancer and comedy podcast, and that's things like the actual therapeutic
mhm,
impact of humor and things of that
mhm,
nature. Where it's not just telling jokes for a good time or having a laugh, but it is their therapeutic impact of those type of
mhm,
things. So I put the
mhm,
whole world of medicine and therapy and
mhm.
the advances in this area as my number five.
Right. And I would say my number 4 is very similar to that, and it is more people-oriented. I mean, that my care team that I have had through this whole journey is incredible. There have been some that I kind of said, "No, no, don't really want you part of my circle." But those that I have in my inner circle are just such a blessing. Anytime I go into my oncologist office, and I'm there every 3 weeks, I make sure that I go past my oncologist's actual office. Now I have to walk past it, to go down the hall, but I always make sure that I put my head in and I say, "How you doing?" And more importantly, and I also, speak with her nurse and the nurse practitioners, and we always say, "I love you." I mean,
Oh,
and which sounds kind of funny, right? Because they're my doctors, but I do. I really do care about them. I discovered that my nurse, her mother passed away not long ago, and, the next time I go in, I wanna make sure that I stop in and say just how sorry I was to hear that.
sure.
But yeah, I always say our medical care team are superheroes, right? And they often have very challenging and very sad jobs, especially in this area, right? But anything I can do to maybe help bring a little smile to their day, I do, because they are definitely something I am so incredibly grateful for.
And why not just use that phrase, I love you? It doesn't,
Mhm.
mean we're going off to, vacation together or whatever, or
Right.
anything like that. It just means that we can
Mhm,
express an emotional
mhm,
connection there,
mhm,
and just have a moment that is
mhm,
loving,
mhm,
and to share that good word. And that's
mhm,
awesome. And wouldn't you rather have a good relationship with the people
mhm.
who are dealing with your
Right.
with your health and your
Mhm,
body
mhm.
than to kind of
Don't
a
make
more
those
of a
people who poke you mad.
yeah, you know what? That's right. That's why I always ask when somebody's going to really draw blood or give me a shot or anything like that. I always ask them their name. I said, or even blood pressure, what have you. I say,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
always ask their name because I really want to know the name of someone's getting to stick a sharp object into me. So I just
Yep.
always
Mhm,
want to
mhm,
know that. Well, that's a good one for yours. My number four is similar to what we've talked about here. It's basically support systems and support
mhm,
people.
mhm,
It's this community that I want to talk to you about. it's people in my life who I can share with, laugh with, cry
Mhm,
with.
mhm,
You kind of use the term the heroes, and sometimes the people in my life are the unsung heroes of this journey.
mhm,
They're my family, my friends, the people in my life. It's you, Arts Our Cancer and Comedy
mhm,
here community as well. Uh, Finding myself connected to other communities, online and
mhm,
otherwise.
mhm,
Your Try Not to Die.live community. It's because it's interpersonal. It's those personal relationships, and
mhm,
it's
mhm,
also virtual in a way as well. But it is that I'm just thankful to have these new relationships
mhm,
and how that has been impactful in my life. And one of the things I think it does for me, at least, is that there's a sense of loneliness. Can be a sense of
mhm,
loneliness
mhm,
and a sense of kind of you know gloom that comes when you just feel like you're facing something alone. And when you develop the community, and you don't have to do that alone. You don't
mhm,
have to.
mhm,
And hopefully, what we're doing here at the cancerandcomedy.com podcast is to help people to have at least some outreach
mhm,
and connection to develop that community. So that's mine.
right,
What?
mhm. I love it. And yeah, it is about those communities, right? Because we wouldn't be here literally without them.
Yeah.
Right. So my third, and this sounds a little bit strange, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I have to make change and to help people. It like I said, it sounds a little self-serving, but it really has been so gratifying to know that I have the ability to maybe help make change in someone's life, even if it's just to remind them, hey, ask your doctor such and such, or here's a great resource, or all of those things. It's funny. I had someone who has said, I couldn't have gotten through this without you.
Mm,
And could they have? Sure, they would have, but it's just that opportunity to help people get through this. I started trying not to die.live because my business coach, the fabulous Kathleen Caldwell, told me, she said, you didn't go through everything you went through without using it to help others. And we all know that we want to be of service to others. And in a weird way, I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to be in service to others through my message.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, yes, and I just want to kind of affirm that to say when bad things happen to you, do not waste that
Mhm.
opportunity you
Mhm.
have in
Right.
order to transform that opportunity to
Mhm.
serve the greater good, to
Mhm. Mhm.
serve others. Because otherwise, it's kind of in a way, it's kind of selfish.
Mhm.
If we just kind of keep it to ourselves. And
Mhm.
so I think that kind of goes to my number three, which was an enhancement of my own personal strength and my own personal
Mhm.
possibilities.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
include in that spiritual growth as well as
Mhm.
emotional resilience in this area that I'm thankful for. Because when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was in a bit of a transition point. I had just
Mhm.
literally had retired from 43 years of ministry. The
Mhm.
month before, the blood test flagged me and my PSA count was up, and away we
Mhm.
go with all that good stuff. And I was feeling just a little bit lost and a little bit unsure and uneasy about what is next for me. And although there's a lot of stuff to this whole experience has given me a new sense of purpose and
Mhm.
strength that I didn't really know that I even had because I had dealt with cancer and other bad things in life with other people,
Mhm.
family members, and other people in
Mhm.
my churches, but this was me now, and I had
Mhm.
to find
Mhm.
some inner strength, and that goes to the spiritual life, which found myself a little more involved with the prayer life and spiritual life and Bible reading and things like that. And of course, that's where we often use the biblical verse that a cheerful heart is good medicine.
Mhm.
And the other part of that of that verse is but a crushed spirit dries because a crushed spirit would dries up the bones.
Mhm.
And that perspective gave me a sense of okay, I don't want to be the crushed spirit guy. I would rather be the cheerful
Mhm.
heart
Mhm.
guy.
Right.
And then, but in order to do that, I had to have something, this experience, this
Mhm, mhm,
wilderness experience, I had to go through that,
mhm,
and it made me a little bit a stronger
mhm.
person. So, personal strength, spiritual depth is kind of my third one there.
You read my list. And this
Oh my
this is
goodness.
why we get along, because my number 2 is the personal growth and the resilience. You really don't know what you can survive until you have to survive it, right? And I have been definitely on a journey of, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to live my life? Who do I want to be in my life? I think that's one of the interesting things, is deciding, okay, this person might have, they might be just a little too negative, so I don't want them there. But wow, these people are fabulous. And so I want to make sure that I have them as part of my life. We definitely learn a lot about ourselves when we have to go through something like this. It's a journey that we wish we never had to go on, right?
Of course, of
Yeah, I
course.
want to get cancer so I can grow. But it is amazing because for some people, it sends them down a very dark path. And I feel so bad when that happens. You and I were talking about somebody that I came across just yesterday who didn't like that I focused so much on positive, because she liked to focus on the negative. And the funny thing is, she actually called that focusing on the truth.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, focusing on the positive is also the truth. It is the truth for me. And we hear about the fact that, what you believe is what's going to happen. And I believe that things will come out the way that they're supposed to come out. My expiration date might be a little bit shorter than it was 5, 10 years ago, but yeah, I choose to believe in the positive that is coming out of this, as opposed to just focusing on the negative.
I love that. And well, and focus on the positive over the
Mhm,
negative
mhm,
kind of really leads right into what's next on my list, which is
mhm,
perspective. Um,
mm,
the aspect of cancer has given me perspective on kind of the relationship of
mhm,
my life in relationship to the
mhm,
broader
mhm,
context of the whole world, for one thing, but particularly my own
mhm,
family and the own people that I have some connection with, and therefore it has kind of transformed my own personal perspective from being a
mhm,
little bit self-centered, kind of poor me or whatever is going on with
mhm,
me, to how it relates to other people. And I credit my wife Debbie a lot in this one, so I
mhm.
lift up her. In fact, to her name is Debbie. She goes by Deb a lot, and you're a Deb, so I got two incredible Debs in my
2
life here.
wonderful Debs. Yep.
There
Mhm,
you go. But and so the part of what I love about her and about you as well is the sense of accountability and kind of
mhm,
reflection.
mhm,
Reflection on
mhm,
what is really truly important. So, in terms of perspective and personal transformation, I'm hopeful that I can be two people who've been really important to me is my two granddaughters, who
mhm,
are now 7 and 5, or 7 and 4, and so I really want to see them grow up, and so they gave me a
mhm,
perspective.
mhm.
Okay,
Good.
it wasn't just about the momentary experience of experiencing my granddaughters as they are small children, but it's also a perspective of trying to see them and do what I need to do with my life to not only be alive, but to be an impact in their lives.
Mhm,
Hopefully, to see them graduate high school and get on
mhm,
with their lives and things of that in the nature. So that's a little bit about the
mhm,
perspective, and therefore the transformation comes into play. That not to be so much kind of the whiner and complainer but to be more present, be more authentic, be intentional,
mhm,
and to
mhm,
live vibrantly and
mhm,
to love deeply, and those type of things that I
mhm,
just need to do, and to really celebrate that the laughter of my granddaughters, and to celebrate my wife and my three adult children, and new friendships I make with people like
mhm,
you and other people in our cancer and comedy community, and to celebrate that, and just not get so caught up in whatever
mhm.
meaningless, grim stuff happens, because
Right.
you can go down that path. I tend
Mhm,
to
mhm,
sometimes want to go down that pathway, and sometimes it's about my health, and sometimes it's about politics or something else, that I can go down some grim pathway, and I just don't want to stay there, because that's a bitter
mhm,
place, and I don't want to be bitter. I
mhm,
want to be better. And so a
Right.
little bit what cancer has given me is the choice about being better
Mhm.
over bitter, and that's the
Mhm.
perspective shift. And I know I've kind of got off
Mhm.
my little long-winded preacher rant here a little bit, but I uh, that's kind of a perspective I've seen in myself. And so
Mhm.
I'm kind of thankful that I've had this experience of cancer to help me gain some
Mhm.
perspective.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, it's so important because I think we in many cases, we take a lot of things for granted, right? Right? And especially the people in our lives. We just figure, they'll always be there. They'll always, whatever, or we can always do whatever later. I tell people, get your bucket list out and do it now. Why are you saying, "Hey, I'm going to do it in 20 years?"
Sure.
Do whatever it is now. But that does lead me to my thing that I am most grateful for, and it is, as always, my loved ones and my tribe members. We joke about the fact that I always say that I'm a cancer warrior, and but no warrior stands alone. We have to have our tribe around us, and I am so incredibly grateful for you being part of that tribe. And but there have been other people who came into my life, and it was a totally different relationship than if we had just been friends, right? But when they came into my life as part of this journey, it's a very different relationship, and it has just been so fulfilling. And it truly has been a blessing. And what I do is I hope that I can be a blessing to others. The people who have served me, hopefully I don't need to pay it back to them, because that might mean that they've got this going on too. But it's the pay it forward. How
Yeah.
can I pay it to someone else? But yeah, would not be here without my husband. My mom, she passed away earlier in March, but she was a big part of my care, and just all of those things. We're just very grateful for the people in our lives who have helped us along this journey.
Well, I just want to second that and affirm that as a happy member of your tribe. And as we develop our own tribe together here, the cancer and comedy
Mhm,
community, it is good to go through this together, to be part
mhm,
of a
mhm,
family type atmosphere. And it really leads me to my number one, which is I'm thankful for the cancer experience for giving me, and this will sound a little bit weird because cancer is kind of known as used to be known as kind of a death sentence type of thing, but
right, mhm,
cancer for me has given me an illumination of a hope of a brighter
mhm,
future.
right,
And
mhm,
I'll just put it that way. We'd like to talk about hope here quite a bit on our podcast
mhm,
in terms of how we can cope with the present situation with hope
mhm,
and humor.
mhm,
And so that's what this has given me, a hope for that, that no matter what my circumstances are, that I can be of value, that I can be a
mhm,
contributor in whatever the situation for. And I am hopeful more than dreadful about a lot of things. Think people
mhm,
can dread a lot of things, but I am more hopeful. And this has basically given me that because I had to process this whole deal. And I teach my ACTS process,
mhm,
ACTS,
mhm,
to you got A to take action, the C to connect with a higher power, the T to be thankful, and
mhm,
to think, with strategically, and then the S is to serve others with love, and that
mhm,
goes into the hope here. And I just see the possibilities are really before me. I
mhm,
see possibilities before me, and I see before you too, and that has to do with building this community together
mhm,
here at the Cancer Comedy Podcast, working with other communities like Try
mhm,
Not to Die, Not Live, and other ones that we have been connecting up with. I could see not only the expansion and impact of what we do here on the Cancer Comedy Podcast to reach more and more people with this message of a cheerful heart is good medicine, and to cope with hope and humor. And I see those possibilities, and all these other things are part of it that
mhm,
we've mentioned here, that I've mentioned here. The medical advancements, the
mhm,
support systems, the
mhm,
family, the spiritual aspects, personal development, and so on. And that gives me a little purpose in life, and
Mhm.
it's related to how I can be a voice to help be. I can be a voice, and especially with magnified with your voice for to speak to people who are impacted by cancer. Because here's what we do know for sure: we know a lot of people are lonely and upset, and they are in dark
Mhm.
places. We know that
Mhm.
from our experiences that they are there, and maybe we can do something about it. So one of the things when I develop my own personal mission statement, this kind of goes to my more personal mission statement that I will not be defined by cancer. I
Mm.
will not let it
Yeah.
define me,
Mhm.
but I will let it refine me to be
Ah.
better suited
Mhm.
to. I'm just gonna. I haven't done this for a while, but I'm gonna read my personal. Uh,
Yeah,
my
you've never
part.
read it to me. This is fascinating. I love this.
Well, I call it my cancer coping credo,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I keep it by my desk. I read it every day, and it just
Mhm.
says, "I will not let cancer." And this kind of goes to my number one, I
Mhm.
guess, or my
Mhm.
where is it for cancer. But it goes like this: I will not let cancer define me. I will leverage cancer to refine my life to the better in my relationships and to drive me forward in my remaining days to fulfill the mission of sharing a message of healing through hope and humor and teaching the biblical message that a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. And so, I don't know, that came to me. I worked through a process here that I like to teach people,
Mhm.
but I think that's what cancer has given me,
Mhm.
this new sense of being
Mhm.
refined. And I think
Mhm.
whatever people go through, it may or may not be cancer, but it may be cancer like. It may
Mhm.
be mental health, depression. It might be
Right,
going through
another type of illness. Mhm.
going through a
Mhm.
divorce or going through a
Mhm. Mhm.
devastating financial
Right.
reversal, or maybe the death of a loved one,
Mhm.
grief, and so on. These can be things can devastate people, but if we choose to then
Mhm.
work through those with hope and humor, I
Mhm.
think that that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And so I think where I'd like to help just to say also a word of thanks in our time here together here, uh, Deb, for all the people who participate. We've been doing the Cancer
Right.
Comedy
Oh,
Podcast for over a
our
year
guests
now.
have been fabulous.
We've had
Mhm.
some guests that were just tremendous as well. Uh, and, I think about not too long ago, we had KDB with us, who
Mhm.
is she travels the country in a van, and she's able to offer cheer among
Mhm.
people in
Mhm.
Walmarts,
Mhm.
for instance, and things like that. Marlo, breast cancer survivor,
Mhm.
who she took the situation of, and now she does stand up comedy as a woman
Right.
of in her local community.
Mhm.
Frank King, another guy who takes a really tough subject like suicide prevention, and puts a bit of a comedic spin on it.
Mhm.
Uh, I know I put you on the spot a little bit. Any of our guests that come to mind that made an impact on you?
I'm not gonna remember them by name, but yeah, they've all had such wonderful messages. And some of them haven't been talking directly about cancer, but others have. And I think it is kind of the overall theme of all of this is, bad things happen.
Yeah,
What are we gonna do? How are we gonna get through it? And, I would encourage folks, go back and listen to the archives, watch the archives, because the guests have been fantastic and have provided such great inspiration. And sometimes they're just flat out funny. I
yeah,
mean, Fred, who, he talks about the fact that his heart literally just stops and he falls over and conks his head. And
that's
he
right.
does this repeatedly, and I believe he called himself Never Dead Fred, right? Or Always
That's
Dead Fred. You know, and
yeah,
and
right.
and I mean, how many people would look at that and go, "I can make this funny or I can make this tragic." It's kind of the comedy and tragedy mask, right? But and we're not ignoring the negatives. Those are there. And
Absolutely,
how
absolutely.
can we turn the grim into a grin?
And I think that's important as we talk about our lifter uppers. We like to call our
Mhm.
followers of our podcast the lifter
Mhm.
uppers. That you got something you need to be thankful to as
Mhm.
well. We've made our
Mhm.
list. Deb and I made our list here, but I would encourage you to think about, what are you thankful for? What are you grateful
Right.
for, even in the midst of whatever you're facing,
Mhm.
whether
Mhm.
it's cancer or some other bad thing in life? What do you have going for
Mhm.
you instead of against
Mhm.
you? And that's
Right.
kind of, that's that change of perspective that I
Mhm.
would encourage people
Mhm.
to do. And
Right.
so in that light, I just want to invite people again to connect up with our community.
Mhm.
And I'll make this, personal. I'm going to make this personal promise moving forward as we look to kind of expand what we do here in Cancer and Comedy, and do other events, more live streams like we're doing here, and other things that we do to develop the community. That if you reach out to me, and I'm sure Deb would concur,
Mhm.
that we're going
Mhm.
to reach out to us through the website. There's
Mhm.
through the website, cancerandcomedy.com /follow. And there's a
Mhm.
place there, a form that you can fill out, and you get right to us. You get right to us, and you can reach out to Deb or I, and we will respond to you.
Right. Mhm.
And we want to develop this community. And
Mhm.
I'm sure the same thing goes to your website and your Facebook
Mhm. Mhm.
page, trynottoDie.live.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you have a growing, vibrant community of people in that community, and that's a good thing as well.
Mhm.
And then I want to offer a gift to folks
Ooh.
that we've have available to folks, as being thankful for joining us here as this year plus journey we've had on the Cancer Comedy Podcast. And that's a little 5-day course that we put together here a while back. It's called the HHH course, which stands for Healing with Hope and Humor. And
Mhm.
it's a 5 audios of 5 audios, 5 days you can do it 5 days in a row. But basically, how you can apply some of the things we've talked about here to your life. And in
Mhm.
particular, that if you want to come up with that cancer coping credo, like I shared a little bit
Mhm.
earlier, that it takes 10 minutes or so a day. If you just go to cancerandcomedy.com/free, and that's where you'll get it. And we like to offer that to folks who would like to be a part of that. And just a great big thanks to all our lifter uppers.
Mhm.
Well, anything else you want to share here, Deb, for our?
No, I think, always be looking for what to be grateful for. And sometimes it's small, right? And sometimes it's huge. But, as you are, as we're going into this holiday season, really think about what we are grateful for. And sometimes we laugh, right? I tell people, I'm happy I'm not looking up at 6 feet of dirt. You know, but I'm also so grateful for everything that has happened. And it sounds very strange, but I am grateful for it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let me just say a word of thanks one more time, and then if you can
Mhm.
close us out after that, would be great.
Mhm.
But just to say a word of thanks to all of our lifter uppers, the folks who
Mhm.
follow the Cancer and Comedy Podcast. I want to say a big word of thanks to my wife Debbie, my family, for putting up with me spending some long hours working on this, and it's big
Mhm.
thanks to Deb Krier, who and they're trying not to die to live, for helping this be a great and joyous experience for me. And we certainly wish and give our best of our
Mhm.
best to all of our lifter
Mhm.
uppers, and we're
Mhm.
thankful for you here at this holiday
Oh.
season. Thank you so much for joining us here on
Mhm.
Cancer and Comedy, and we'll be back on our regular edited podcast
Mhm.
episodes. You can always find that at cancerandcomedy.com, and then on a pretty regular basis, we do these live streams as well.
Mhm. Right. And we'd love for you to join us on the live streams. That's always a fun thing. Well, before we wrap up, I'm going to put you on the spot here just a little bit. It is Thanksgiving. We are getting ready to have Thanksgiving tomorrow. Would you please give us a short blessing?
I would be honored. Thank you for that. Gracious God, and we would share this in the spirit of however people experience a higher power, something greater than themselves. I just thankful for everybody who listens to these words or sees these images, and help them to know that they are indeed blessed people in whatever circumstances they find themselves in, be it cancer or some other bad thing, some other adversity, that you can get through that. You can see yourself through this situation to a better place. And having a shift of perspective that comes with seeing the life with gratitude and thankfulness over doom and gloom is a part of that. So I just ask you to, in your own life, to find out what you have to be thankful for and what you're grateful for, and to set aside for the moment anything that is grim in your life and turn to a grin or a sensibility of a life that is fulfilled and fulfilling to the end. So I ask your blessing and anointing to be upon every person who hears my voice and hear Deb's voice and has this sense of thankfulness in their life. And let us move forward and know that a cheerful heart is good medicine.
And the people said, Amen.
Amen.
Well, lifter uppers, this brings us to the close of this live stream episode of the Cancer and Comedy Podcast with Dr. Brad Miller. As we've said, Cancer and Comedy is all about telling uplifting stories of people like you who are kicking cancer's butt with healing through hope and humor. We would love to hear your stories about how you have turned your grim into a grin. Just go to cancerandcomedy.com/voice message and tell us your story. Well, that's it for now. Please join us next time on Cancer and Comedy. And if you like what you hear, please pass this podcast on to someone in your life who needs to turn their grim into a grin. For Dr. Brad Miller, I'm Deb Krier, reminding everyone once again that a cheerful heart is good medicine.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Cancer and Comedy Podcast with Dr. Brad Miller. Make sure you visit our website, cancerandcomedy.com, where you can follow the show and get our newsletter. Like what you hear? Then tell a friend about Cancer and Comedy, the show that lifts your spirits with hope and humor that heals. Until next time, keep turning the grim into a grin.
Go ahead.